This is your church, God build it. This is your church, God build it. Jesus, cornerstone, God build it.
The idea for This Is Your Church came about after I was reading Psalm 127, which begins by saying, unless the Lord builds the house, those that build labor in vain. And I was just struck by that opening line that, you know what, unless God is building the house, those that are building are doing so in vain. And so just thinking about the church and just how we get about the business of building the church, and we kind of sweat and tire and all these things, and sometimes we just need to kick back and just wait a minute and just say, hey, whose church is it and who's building the church? And in doing so, though, we came to that place of like, hey, we need to just come back to the central message that, hey, this is Jesus's church, and that He is building it by His Spirit, and He's using us as living stones to be a part of His house and His holy building. And so that was essentially the idea and the heart of the song. And I remember we were in the Philippines for an Every Nation songwriting camp, and on the last day of the camp, after some hard sessions and challenging sessions, just got around the lunch table, and I was sitting with Charles from the Manila, Philippines. I was sitting with Al from Manila, Philippines, and I was sitting with Bryson from the US as well. And I was like, hey guys, there's this idea that I have for a song, for the church, just to encourage the church as a whole, and shared that around the lunch table. And then a couple of hours later, we had written this song. And the heart of it again was just, one is for us as the body, and those that also labor within the church, to take that encouragement to know that, hey, Jesus is building the church. We are co-laborers with Him, and ultimately what He has planned and purposed for the church will prevail and come to pass. And so firstly that, and then secondly that the song would just be a missional encouragement also for the church, to say, hey, we're called to be a family or a people on mission, that we would be the light that shines in the darkness, that we would take the gospel to the nations and all the world. And so that's the hope and the prayer with this song, is that people would be encouraged that, hey, Jesus is building this church, and His church is awesome, His church is advancing, His church is growing. But that also, hey, as the church, we're also supposed to go and be the light in all the darkness that we see in the nations. And so we pray it is a blessing and encouragement to you.